Thank you very much for coming along and for being patient and waiting out this event. You may not believe it, but I am truly grateful to you that you've turned up. Let's begin by thanking both the National and Labour parties for the manner in which these negotiations have been conducted and the work that they have put into it. It should be said that during this time, elements of how politics should operate in an MMP environment were seen with great clarity. On 23rd September election day, the effect of over 446,000 votes, or 70% of the total, were not known. We believed on election night that those uncounted votes would have a profound effect on the final outcome. That's why New Zealand First waited until October 7 to find out exactly the numbers we were dealing with and what that meant before beginning negotiations with interested parties and bringing this matter to finality as soon as we could in the most responsible time. We started negotiations the day after, on October 8. We believe that 11 days from start to finish is not too long to wait and stands in stark contrast to the months that it will take the composition of the German government to be known. Germany had an election on the 24th of September, the day after ours. New Zealanders will know the outcome of their election day tonight. The German people will now not know the outcome of their election until December. Now, this is a decision made by New Zealand First, and it's their decision, not that of the leader. Every New Zealand First MP and board member is a witness to that. We consult, and that's been our case and our policy for the last 24 years. Now, personally, I have entered into 2 governmental agreements with Prime Ministers from different parties. We've shaken hands on it, and both those former Prime Ministers have confirmed that as a result of that agreement, I entirely, utterly, totally kept my word. In the last campaign, the Labour Party and the Green Party campaigned as an alternative government. On the question of the numerical construction of that government, New Zealand First was never consulted, but many commentators factored in our support as a given. That enabled the National Party and others in a grouping of 4 parties to claim that they were facing a group of 3 parties, and where New Zealand First was concerned, voters should, to quote them, cut out the middleman, end of quotes. Now, whether people like it or not, the strategies of both those alternatives failed. That is why we are in the position we are in now. That said, the decision that is about to be announced does not represent just over 7% of the vote, or 70%, or dare I say it, 45%. This decision represents the majority in an MMP environment, in an MMP parliament. The government I was first a member of, for example, had under 40% of the vote and less than 10,000 than the opposition party got in that election. On the agreement we've reached is a summation of the policies that survived the negotiations. I want to stress that. It is a summation of the policies that survived the negotiations. As the song goes, you can't always get what you want. Our negotiations have taken place against a backdrop of changing international and internal economic circumstances which we cannot ignore. We in New Zealand First believe that an economic correction or a slowdown is looming and that the first signs are already here. In the housing market slowdown, in Reserve Bank and trading banks' nervousness, in the cessation of hot money from abroad, in property ownership concerns, in receding consumer optimism, and in ebbing retailer confidence. There were great risks in whatever decision we made, and despite our having had no influence on these risks, some will attempt, when the looming dangers come, to heap the blame on us. That those blame caricatures are both spurious and misplaced won't stop attempts to misdescribe the cause of these events. That's why we are putting this scenario out front right now so that such attempts will fail. Awareness of looming consensus has affected our decision. Our choice today relates to how best we mitigate, not worsen, what is coming, we believe, and its impact on as many New Zealanders as is possible. Now, can I say this? As a party, New Zealand First believes that it has secured major policies to advance the New Zealand economic and social condition. Big or small, all of these policies are important. When we construct the formal agreement summating those matters we have negotiated, these policies will be published. It is not my privilege or responsibility to summarise and announce them today. That will be for someone else. Can I just say, far too many New Zealanders have come to view today's capitalism not as their friend but as their foe, and they are not all wrong. That is why we believe that capitalism must regain its human face. That perception has influenced deeply New Zealand First negotiations. We had a choice to make, whether it was either with National or Labour, for a modified status quo or for change. In our negotiations, both National and Labour were presented with that opportunity, working together, cooperating together for New Zealand. That's why in the end we chose a coalition government of New Zealand First with the New Zealand Labour Party. Thank you very much.